The question is that, are you aware about the plight of the average person in this country?
Acutely aware.
The sufferings of the Nigerian people.
Aware.
How things have deteriorated in the past month. Are you aware?
Acutely aware.
Are you in tune with what the conditions of many Nigerians?
Let me tell you from my constituency, extended family, self is expected to execute his work. The president has just been voted into a term of 4 years. He's 8 months into the term, which constitutes 31.8% of the total time that he has. He has less than 70% of the time in government. When is that going to happen? 2, when President Buhari took over in 2015, it was the same language. Nigerians patiently followed. Today, tomorrow, they finish the first term, they enter the second term. When there is a fundamental problem with policy, time is irrelevant. 30 years, it cannot.
This one, Bagbos, his studio, Wutu. She will give it to Daniel Bwala. You know, Daniel Bwala has just been appointed as a media aids person. So, this is the same man, Daniel Bwala. Just take your time, listen to this interview very well. Listen to the end and see what Daniel Bwala said. The politicians said, in fact, they are full of liars, bunch of liars. So take your time, listen to Bwala. This is the same person who once said, if you give Tinubu 30 years, Tinubu cannot do nothing, cannot fix this country. Suddenly, that statement has been converted to something else. Today, Bwala is 100% loyal to Tinubu, and Tinubu is now APC member. Good. Just take your time, watch this video from Daniel Bwala. I like Sheo Kuti on this. You give it to Daniel Bwala on this Woto. Here. Anyways, let's walk. And please do me a favor. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please hit the notification button so that you don't miss any audit. It's going to interest you to watch this video to the end. You know, Tinubu, Daniel Bwala has just confirmed that Tinubu cannot do nothing. Now, Mount, he's just there to collect his own share. Because that energy he wasted for article, he needs something to recover. He doesn't care. But hey, listen to this.
Did you lobby for this position?
No, I didn't.
Were you promised the job?
What do you mean?
I mean, did the president promise you that you're going to get the job?
Which job now?
The job that you just got. You are the special advisor to the president on media and communications.
You know, the last time I was here, I told you when I met him, I told him I have made up my mind to support his cause, right? And since that January till this November, I'm sure I've appeared in your program, I have been doggedly pursuing that cause. Maybe he saw that and he saw commitment on that, but it's something that the president knows I have loved and I still love him and I supported him in the primaries. Whatever is his consideration is what I don't know, but I know that the honor that the president bestowed upon me is what I am very grateful to him about. And I am also very committed to ensuring that I do not disappoint Mr. President and the Nigerian people.
So you have effectively replaced Ajuri Gilali.
Yeah.
That's your office now.
Yes.
Because I understand from the presidency that office has not been used since Ajuri left the villa.
Yeah, when he was there, I think the nomenclature is Special Advisor on Media and Publicity. And now that role is called Special Advisor on Media and Public Communications, State House.
Yeah. So there's one outside of the State House.
Yeah.
Which is Sunday Dare.
Yes, who operates from the Office of the Minister of Information.
So how does that work?
What do you mean?
How does that work? I mean, if there are two different people occupying similar or same position, because the nomenclature are simply the same.
No, it's not. He's on the last, is it catchphrase? No, the last word there is orientation. So public communication and orientation operating from the Office of the Minister of Information. But I don't know the full description, and I do not have the local standard or the authority to describe anybody else's role. You understand?
But your own, well, have you been briefed by the president?
When the president traveled, but I've communicated with the president.
You've spoken with the chief of staff, isn't it? You've had meetings with him too.
The chief of staff, we've been in touch.
No, I mean, assuming office today.
I just assumed today.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, you couldn't have assumed office. You'd have gotten your titles, access, and
these are brief of office. Yeah. I went to the villa, and as soon as they saw me, they said, congratulations. They cleared me. Then we had a meeting with the communications team. And after the meeting, then I proceeded to address the State House Press Corps, which is the primary constituency, my primary constituency. And then that's it for today. So we'll continue the engagement.
So probably, what has changed between what Ajuri was doing and what you will be doing?
I don't understand what has changed.
No, because publicity is not part of the nomenclature of your own office.
But public communication makes it even more sharper, communicating with the public.
Okay, that's Do you think you are fit for this office in terms of your qualification?
We are saved by grace. You are talking of whether I have the
requisite experience, understanding, and knowledge of the job.
I have
speaking publicly for a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
I have never spoken for the president of the Federal Republic at any time. This is the first time. But if you're talking of whether I have experience in communication and public communication and media, that is all I've been doing for many years.
Have you been trained for it?
I studied law. A lawyer is both a journalist and a practitioner of law. When you appear in court, what are you doing? Advocating for a case.
But it's a totally different thing when you stay in and you handle media and manage media and communication for, that's the probably one of the highest role in media and communication in any country. Speaking and managing public relations and staying in for a president.
Which is what I have the capacity for. Yeah.
You have the capacity.
Yes.
For it.
Incidentally, when I went to address the press corps, most of the people in that place, we know each other at different capacities where you appear in television program or journalists calling you out for meetings, communication and all that. So it is, you see, it's a privilege, but it's also a role which we have been playing for the president in an unofficial capacity. So now that the privileged position is given to you in that official capacity, it's an honor. What has changed now is that in an unofficial capacity, you can say anything you want. In the official capacity, because whatever you say is deemed as the president saying, you have to be careful to be sure that what you're saying filters on the thinking, the reasoning, and the body language of the president. So
by inference or by virtue of, how would I refer to you now? You're a member of the APC because you work for a president.
Since January. Since January.
So, I mean, how does that work? Because this is you who said the human brain is unique and miraculous. It works and functions optically 24 hours a day, 365 days a year until you join APC, then it stopped working. Does that apply to you?
Let me just answer this, and I will not answer any further communication in relation to what you and I have trashed here when I met the president sometime. It's just that in Nigeria, we have sometimes, well, since it is not a journalist that say, I won't say lazy journalism, but you see, I have said it, this quote, I have never said it like that. The statement I made, which is similar to this, was on the 24th of December. You were not on duty. Your colleague, I think it's Geoffrey, was the one who was interviewing me on the eve of Christmas, I remember. And I didn't say this same thing that you're saying. But by the way, let me tell you this. A lot of people don't know politics, and they don't know how politics is being played. When you are for the opposition, what are you supposed to do? To oppose, isn't it? To oppose. If you have the training and discipline where you get engaged in debate, for example, where you say debate for and against. So what we know and from a discipline of law is you emphasize your strength and de-emphasize the strength of the other person. You allow him to state his case. And all of these references that people were making were activities that played out when I was in the PDP. It is understandable. The reason why I said I will not talk further on that is because when I met the president in January, you were the first person to interview me after I had met him. It was the hottest interview we've ever had. First of all of the years I know you in interview, you hardly interview and make reference and play out something. But that day, it was like Larry King interviewing somebody. And after that, I went to other TV stations and ensured that, because I don't run away from interview. Now, imagine they take talk, now I will take answer. I've gone to all the places and answered the question. Now, so the president has given us privilege, and there are so much that the president, imagine the visit of the Prime Minister of India. A lot of solid issues to talk about. People are not looking at that. You are looking at Bwala. He said this before against the president. Now, let's assume that it is malaria. Is it not the president that should take the medicine? Why are you taking the medicine for him? When I met him, I told you here on your show in January, when I was explaining why I took positions that I took, but I told him I never went personal. I guess you don't even have to worry. I understand this is politics. The only thing the president then was worried was that when I left, I didn't meet with him before leaving. That's the only thing, not what I said. And he told me something. He said, if you look around me now, most of the people that I would meet today were once against me and even, very deep against me. But in life, my mother, this is his word, my mother taught me that if a king is going to be fighting with people, you will now become a lonely king without people. And so I have learned that in life and I don't hold it against
me. So you are 100% loyal to the president?
100%.
So you were formerly, you said that you were 100% loyal to Atiku.
When I was with Atiku, I was 100. So that, I'm like a pit bull, right? When you are committed to someone, you give 100. So I cannot say, when I was working for Atiku, I was 90% for Atiku and 10% for Asiwaju. But then, what it means that I can't be trusted by both Atiku and Asiwaju, Bola Tinubu, the president.
But your loyalty shifted as soon as your perception of things shifted.
As soon as the president
took
one. No, even when he won, I was in PDP actually, up to the judgment of the Supreme Court. So that question of who won, who didn't won was settled. The next thing that everybody was confronted with after that time was governance. And if you recall, I want to refresh your memory, on the first, I think, of January, the president gave a speech. And in that speech, he called on all Nigerians from all divide to come together and let us build on governance. So when I got the privilege of being invited by the president to meet him, which many people have sought for and never had. And I count it as a privilege of a lifetime. He is a father. I've been with him before. And he said, I want you to join this idea of governance and the rest. I saw it as a rare opportunity. And I grabbed it with joy. And from then I gave him my 100% commitment. And Seun, you have been around from that January when I made that decision for the president till today. Was there any moment in which I was quiet, silent, redundant? It has always been 100. That's my life. If I believe in a cause, I give
So you are now focused on speaking for President Tinubu, whom you say now you have 100% loyalty in.
100.
But you believe that the president can do the job.
I believe the president has a good intention for Nigeria. I believe the president has demonstrated, intrinsic, very strong capacity in facing the problem. You see, problem can be seen by everyone. The capacity to face the problem headlong is something that can only be defined by people who have character. I give you an example. What has been the subject of discussion up till today, after almost 2 years, was the decision the president took. You remember those economic policy decisions. These policy decisions since 1999 were discussed in every administration would plan to do it. Sometimes there will be protests against it. Nobody summoned the courage to do that. When the president came with no money in government, he felt that if we don't take this decision, we're going to be in problem. He took it. So that kind of courage, and even the courage the president exercised in appointing me against all odds. These are some of the things you look at in someone and say, if he's convinced in a cause, he will give himself to it. So a lot to learn from that. And after that decision that he has made with respect to economic reform, what is his disposition? From that time till today, I urge the Nigerian people to be patient. Give me time, we will work this out. That is presidential. And at this time, I wonder how in the midst of this cacophony in the country, where somebody will not feel the need to play his part in ensuring that we save Nigeria from decadence.
So the question I'm asking now is whether or not you believe in the presidency of today, because and that's why I started my conversation with you asking that you are a Christian minority from Borno State.
Yes, sir.
And you once said the reason why you stopped believing or supporting Bola Tinubu is because of the Muslim ticket.
Yeah.
And as your philosophy about the Muslim ticket, because nothing seems to have changed. Has it changed now?
Seun, are you having what we call father time? You have asked me this question before. We trust it here.
No, we need to trash it because you have now taken up the responsibility to officially speak for the president.
So for your training
and for the I can speak for what my training and for what my industry deserve and the Nigerian people deserve. It would be a disservice to the average Nigerian person if you are not able to clear when you are now your official capacity. At Daniel Bwala, we had a conversation about your ideology and philosophy to wanted to support Bola Tinubu now. But now that you are taking an official responsibility, you have to also clear the air and lift up the burden that you have placed upon yourself.
What kind of,
and now the question, you have said that the reason why you stopped supporting President Tinubu is because of the Muslim ticket.
And when I made a decision to support him and you asked me the question, which I have cleared.
So now so you can now work with a Muslim man that took a Muslim.
When I made a decision to support him, which I have been supporting him from January till this time, what was I doing? The only difference between then and now is the official tag.
You can be supporting someone, but working with them is another kettle of fish.
I've never believed that if you have the capacity to support someone, you will not see the need to.
You told me on our last interview at that time that you have a love and affection for Bola Tinubu as a person, but you disbelieve in the stand of the APC of a Muslim ticket. So the question is that it's still the Muslim ticket. Your man from Kashim Shettima, who is the VP, is from Borno State. President Bola Tinubu is a Muslim, and they have not denounced their religion. Have you denounced yours?
You know why I'm smiling? This is what I do for a living as a lawyer, where we cross-examine people. You change style, but you ask the same question which you have asked me in January and I've answered. So my reply to this will be asked and answered.
No, it has not been answered as of this moment.
Then recalling whether I have answered or not.
No, the question is that we are in the moment. Your status at the time and now are totally different.
So my response
do you still believe that a man, a vice president, and a president who are both Muslim of the same religion have the moral standing to run a country?
I adopt what I said before as my argument and I rely on it.
Are you running away or dodging away from answering the question?
No, you see, you have the infrastructure, you have TV, you have the same way you use that time in recalling past. Recall that question you asked and how I answered it. I'm not prepared to give energy to those things that would distract us from what the president has asked us to do. Let me tell you, it's not about Bwala, it's not about people. The minute I start answering questions that were asked and answered, and then it creates chains of question, then I defeat the very purpose of my appointment. I am now talking about myself instead of talking about the administration of President Bola Tinubu.
That is if these questions are being reinforced over and over again. But this is our first conversation since you assumed office, and which is today.
Yes.
And I'm asking, because you are in your official capacity, can Nigerians believe you that this Daniel Bwala and what he said some months ago during the campaign, can they believe you when you speak for the president?
If you ask this question 100 times till tomorrow morning, my answer will be the same.
But what about those who think that you don't have integrity?
It is their right.
But do you have integrity?
It is up to you.
No, it's not up to me. You are the one that asked you are in the chair, Mr. Bwala. Do you have the integrity to speak for a president whom you heavily criticize and that is not fit for office based on his religious standing on a Muslim ticket?
Asked and answered.
You have not answered it.
No, I've answered it. You've asked me before.
You know, the reason why that is different is now you are a Nigerian, a public officer.
It doesn't
and you speak to the Nigerian people right now. It's different from you as a private citizen. You have the onus to be able to speak. The onus on you to be able to tell Nigerians truthfully that this is what has changed about you. Is this the same Daniel Bwala that worked with Atiku Abubakar?
If I took mango before I became a spokesman, the nutritional value I get from the mango does not change because now I'm a spokesman. Asked and answered.
So you don't want to talk about that?
Anything that I have answered before, I don't want to regurgitate on that.
Even when you said that even if you give Bola Tinubu 30 years, nothing will change.
Asked and answered.
You're dodging away from the question.
I'm not dodging away. You've asked before, I have answered.
Are you worried about those who think that it is unfair for someone like you who heavily criticize and they fought you on television and radio, like just to take on Okwasa? And I could play to you some tapes of what you said during the campaign.
So you have those tapes, but you don't have the tape of the previous question you asked me, which I've answered.
Why would I play a tape of you when you are right here and you can answer the same question?
But why are you going to play this one that I said before?
Because you are now the special advisor.
What is good for the goose is good for the gander.
No, I'm a professional in this job.
I'm a professional in responding.
You are a lawyer.
And that makes it even stronger.
So the question here is that, Mr. Daniel Bwala, are you able to speak to the fact that there are some those who have a very difficult time believing and agreeing that you've gotten that job instead of them, and they were the supporters that saw Bola Tinubu winning that election? What would you say to them tonight?
That's an opinion. They express their opinion. I can understand their feelings. I can understand their pain. However, the president of the Federal Republic decide who he wants to work with. But more than that, if you trust the judgment of the president to govern Nigeria, if you're progressive, you trust that this president is exercising good judgment in policy decisions, is exercising good judgment in governing, you should respect his judgment in choosing who he works with. I'm talking about if you're progressive. You may have a genuine reason why you think you are not taken. I am not going to sit here to say somebody doesn't have a reason why he has not been taken. But Bola is not the reason why you are not taken. There is this thing we call transferred aggression. Do you know that not long ago, the wife of late Odumegwu Ojukwu was appointed? Was she in APC? Certainly no. You remember when Bosun Tujani was appointed? Was he in APC? No. So you see, the president, in my view, because what I did was I knew what the president's philosophy was. That's my understanding from my discipline of training, where they said if you are appearing in the court, study the demeanor of the judge, study the mind of the judge, and prepare your case on the basis of that. From President Bola Tinubu, even when he was a governor, he was operating on the philosophy outlined in that book on Abraham Lincoln. If you read that book, for those of the people who have not read, I will encourage them to read. When Abraham Lincoln won the presidency, he ceased to look at the political party from where he's coming from because it is the American society. But he was also faced with so many problems. I said it last time I was here. There was the, the economic sabotage, the printing and the minting of the American money illegally. There was slave trade. There was fighting over supremacy. Federal government was not able to galvanize them. And so when he looked at it, and all of them had their respective leaders and sentiment, he felt and he came up with this philosophy: you can only fight one war at a time. You can't fight all. So what he did was, let me galvanize everybody together, national consensus, and let's hit the ground running. Now, I am not the only subject of the decision of the president that touched on people probably outside APC and the rest. Remember, Mr. Shewun, you have practically interviewed me for 8 years before the election, consistently defending APC as an APC member. My credential is in your hand. You will call me when I'm driving, I will pull over. I am doing sports, I will stop over. That is how I defended. So I'm not like a newcomer. I've only been away for like 7 months. But everything is Bwala. They have their reasons. Some of them are sponsored. We know those who are sponsoring those things. But like I told you, I have made up my mind. I have refused to put fuel on a distraction, because you can imagine me talking about things that have nothing to do with the policy of the president now as his media aide. That means I am now discussing myself rather than discussing the president. So I leave them to their opinion. They can feed on it, they can build a house on it, but I am committed to focusing on what I am assigned to do, and I prepare to do that with all of my
Before you get comfortable with the fluffy and the luxurious environment of the presidential villa, as an ordinary man, today is your first office. You probably had enjoyed the air conditioning in the
I had air conditioning in my office, in my house,
but that
in my car
might be a bit different. That's the number one seat in the nation. It might feel different. Now, so the question before you get too carried away by the comfort of the office, and I like you to
people get carried away by that.
Hey, people get carried away.
Give me an example.
They forget if you pinch
an example of somebody that got carried away.
I mean, when I'm not discussing other people, I'm discussing
you. Facts.
No,
that's conjecture.
That's not conjecture. I'm telling you that people get carried away by the position they hold. The question is that, are you aware about the plight of the average person in this country?
Acutely aware.
The sufferings of the Nigerian people.
Aware.
How things have deteriorated in the past month. Are you aware?
Acutely aware.
Are you in tune with what the conditions of many Nigerians?
Let me tell you, from my constituency, extended family members, for many months, calls for you to support. There are times where we can, we do, where we can, we keep, encouraging them. I am very, very aware, of the suffering of the Nigerian people.
And you think this president can fix things?
He's already fixing it.
Well, you think that he could not fix it even if you give him 30 years? That's what you said.
That's an answer.
So you don't think that the president... So why do you speak for a president that you think cannot do the job?
No, I just told you. You just asked, do I think he will do it? I say, yes, acutely aware, and I know he will do it.
But you have said that the president, who even given 30 years, may not be able to fix it.
Asked and answered.
So you don't believe he can do it?
Asked and answered.
Why do you speak for him then?
I speak for him because, one, I believe in him, and from January when I met him, I committed to supporting his cause, and not just supporting, advocating for it. So not just that I believe him, I was busy, as I've always done, speaking to the Nigerian people. This is what the plan is. Look, a little while we will we'll have this cough, turn up the cough or whatever, the English nomenclature. But because if you look at it, look at even the numbers. Look at the National Bureau of Statistics. If you look at this inflation, both general inflation and food inflation, you will see sometimes when the inflation goes up, there is a reason for it. Like I told you the other time, if you look at the flood in Borno and Yobe, it affected the food crops of the people. The insecurity in North Central. You remember we just got out of the deeper problem in the Middle Belt. These are not spiritual things. They are fact. There is a cause, there is event. But look at the way we are coming out. You have even did your monologue. I remember one time you were talking about how states have become insolvent, bankrupt, and the rest. But ever since the president took up with the increased allocation arising from this revenue, we are not talking about bankruptcy of state. We are talking about governors should please do their best to administer to the people. That's a marked difference. Now, so we are not suggesting that everything has changed overnight. No, but what we are saying is that we are gradually coming out. You have asked me the last time I was here on the Lee Kuan Yew's policy. Yes, when Lee Kuan Yew started, for anybody who cares to study, when Lee Kuan Yew started at a point that as if they were going to stone him, it was completely terrible. But later, the people got out of the problem. There is no reform that changes overnight. Anybody, it's just like money making. You're into business. Somebody said tomorrow morning you get it. It's a 419. But if you are going to build on trade, there is income, there is expenditure, there is investment, there is patience, there is seed time, there is harvest time. You keep pushing and push it. What federal government and the president's agenda is doing is, because even when you're implementing that, you must do intervention. And the president is doing that. We see in the area of transportation, we see in the provision of fertilizers and seedlings. We have also seen, in the private sector where they are, giving money to support, employment there so people don't go out of jobs. So you can see that everywhere, the effort in terms of the intervention, the president is doing it.
All of these facts that you're talking about, all of these facts you're talking about is because you have now moved closer to him. From a distance, you could not see this illumination.
Well, I've been saying that from January when I made a commitment to follow him.
Until when you've moved closer.
Let me give you this scenario. So I'm a born-again Christian. Before I became born again, I didn't want any preaching about God. I didn't believe in God. I wanted to live my life based on my intuition. When I gave my life to Christ and I made a decision to follow him, it became incumbent on me to study more of God and talk about more of God to the people. So when you translate it into politics, when you make a decision, this is what we talk about, power of decision. If I decide that Shegun, I'm going to be your friend, that means I'm going to make effort to ensure that the relationship is strengthened. When I made a decision to support him from January, I have never had a day in which I wasn't actively working for him. And that buttress the point. For all these years, 11 months I was working, was I talking about even appointment? You see, the president, they said, and now you can see evidence, that he knows how to identify talent. And when it comes to identification of talent, the president does not look at primordial sentiment. He's guided by his intuition. If you trust the president's decision making, you must trust his decision on who he works with.
No, one of the problems that has emanated here, which you would have had a golden opportunity to change the narrative, is that those who believe that you are double-faced.
It's their opinion.
Today you believe in something, tomorrow you believe. And you need to be able to convince them, because you'll be speaking for the number one citizen in the country. You need to, because you are going to be convincing them about the philosophy, the ideology, and the performance of the Bola Tinubu government. If you are not believable, let me tell you, let me give you a bit of a schooling, Mr. Bwala.
No.
Just a moment. Listen.
No schooling.
You need to hear from the expert.
But the question is that a concept of schooling.
Just a moment. Apologies if you feel offended.
No.
But it's not an offense anyway. But the question is that one of the first things to do is to have a personality that is believable before you can convince people to buy a product. So in public relations, that is very key, believability. So the question is that how much of effort are you making to ensure that you are first believed before you can say President Tinubu to the nation?
Let me answer. I have been believed by a tremendous number of Nigerians. In fact, ever once the idea of the appointment was mulled, I have been inundated by calls, listen, even from Labour Party, who said they disagree with us on policy, they disagree, but they think that if this guy carry his gift to put it to work in Asiwaju's government, it will help. Belief is opinion of people. You don't have power to change it. What you have power to is to speak. The man who listens forms opinion. Let me ask you, do you think everybody believes in you? As a journalist, do you think all journalists believe in you? Has that deterred you from doing what you're doing? So this is where you separate between focus and distraction.
So you're focused.
100%.
So you're born again, Daniel Bwala.
Born again from where to where?
From Atiku to Tinubu.
I can't recall anything called born again from
born again
politics.
Meaning that you have moved from your old ways, and now you have seen the light.
Oh, that's what it means?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad for that.
I thought you said that.
That's the schooling.
I thought you, that's schooling. That's another spiritual schooling that I'm giving you.
Oh, you're reading into politics, right?
Yeah, so you are a member of...
I need to pay you. Are you one of those prophets that ask for offering?
No,
you said you just gave me schooling.
I'm giving you free schooling, but yet you're not appreciating it.
No. You have been running around what we call going around the same cycle. You know what they call roundabout. But because I have...
you found a meaning to it in law, so you should understand better. So that works for you, isn't it? If you understand what we're trying to do here, is that I'm asking the same question in different ways. That you have an ideology and has changed. What has changed? That's the question.
Ask and answer.
All right, we'll take a break, everyone. But when we come back, my friend Daniel Bwala, who is not yielding into answering the question about his personality, maybe he'll be able to speak more about